Hey Lutz, welcome to the first ever City Fan Presser. The questions will be brought to you by the fans. The first question comes from Matt Roque at 590 The Fan. How important is it to you to establish a long-term City philosophy, whether that be tactics, style, or just a culture of these first ever teams?
Yeah, I think we spoke a lot about our philosophy, our DNA or our ID, whatever you want to call it. So I think we made a clear statement there that we want to have a very unified playing style, not system, but playing style from our youth academy through the professional team. Also already start to implement that within our community system as well. So we can talk a lot about how we want to play. When it comes to the tactical system, I think that is very flexible, very mobile. So we can't really have any fixed kind of playing system on that. But our way of play will be very similar and definitely very attractive.
I have a question from Sean Lyle at KMOX. Explain the importance of youth teams in professional soccer in the U.S. We know that American sports leagues don't do this, but it's big in Europe. If you could talk about MLS homegrown players and how that works.
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult task to compare that two kind of systems. I mean, in the US, you're having the pay-to-play system, which is very different from Europe. However, I think we, as an MLS franchise, we are very privileged to actually have a bit of a change of that. Our education, our academy, our everything basically will be free of charge for the players. So it gives us much more opportunity to really focus on the individual development or as well as on the team development. So I think there is big changes now actually in US soccer in recent years, and the way the MLS is handling it with the MLS Next, also with the LDL, I think it's really big milestones in creating more and more really top-class soccer players here in the country. And you see how many young Americans actually already make the move into the big leagues in the world as well. But you also see how big and strong the MLS is getting in the last few years, actually on the way forward, getting bigger and better. And I think that's the bandwagon where you want to jump on as well.
Hey, Lutz, question here from Matt Baker, STL. Are there any discussions with players about playing in front of more than family or handling the atmosphere of having larger crowds to cheer them on?
Well, I think you have to look at it in a very positive way. I mean, me as a former player, I only can say if you do suddenly, as a youngster, play in front of bigger crowds of a full house, you don't get stage fright. You're actually getting very, very positive. You're getting very motivated. So I think it's very positive for young players to play in front of bigger crowds, to really achieve that edge, to get used to also to play professional football. But I think it is a big way of actually making the next step. I don't think you can train to play in front of bigger crowds, but it's definitely something which comes naturally. And as soccer is a team sport, I think it goes very well within a group.
Question here from @Massive STLSC. How would you characterize success for the academy in the first year and beyond?
Well, very good question, and I think I have to give you a very detailed answer. I mean, what is success? I mean, if you look success in a professional team, it's all about winning, it's all about titles. But when it comes to an academy setup, when it comes to development, I think it's our duty not just to create better athletes and better footballers. I think we also need to create leaders, better people, young, really good citizens. I think this is very, very important in our holistic approach. But also when it comes to development, of course, you want to win as many games as possible, but also making every player better, preparing players to becoming professional, and actually getting as many players through our youth ranks into a pro setup. I think that's big goals. An academy is a legacy. An academy is something on a long term. So I would not judge at all our success in the first 1 or 2 years. I mean, it's basically building a foundation, building the right base on everything. And I think we need to look in a long-term plan. So we have a very long-term plan when it comes to the community, which will be a feeder into our academy. And of course, in our middle stages, I think the academy is extremely important. We put a lot of work in recent weeks and months, and actually since I'm here to get really a lot of focus on the academy. And then the next step is the pro team. But right now, it's really focused on that first game on our current academy teams.
Question from STL Common Man. What themes are you expecting to see this early from the clubs and individuals, and what should supporters be watching for that will translate to 2023?
Yeah, I think, we're creating a culture, we're creating a philosophy, and all the boys who came to us now, they played for other clubs here in the city and in the surrounding, or they played high school. So it's a way of getting used to each other. It's a way of to understand what we really want from them. We're also creating like a coaching culture, coaching philosophy. Our coaches need to learn and understand what exactly we ask from them, the mindset, how we want to play football. So it's a learning process for everybody. But looking at the preseason, looking at the friendly games we played, looking at every training session, I think we're in a really good way. The players are really bought into the idea. They're working really hard off the field and even harder on the field to really understand exactly what we want from them. It's the STL CDSC style. It's a hardworking style. It's a fun style. I think it's great to watch, and you will see lots of high-intensity football out there. I think that is what you can expect, and you should expect exactly that, getting better from year to year, because, as I mentioned before, we want to play a very similar unified style through all our age groups, and that is what we're all aiming for.
Question here from @Y Bremer. How do you all plan to deal with the St. Louis summer heat?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can always play in swimming trunks because it's pretty hot here. But to be serious, I think we have lots of local boys here. Actually, 99% of our players right now are from that region. So it's not the first time that they're in St. Louis and they don't know the heat. I think they're pretty much used to it. They did that in recent years as well. Yes, as I said before, we do play very high intensity football, so which is tough on the body. But I'm really not worried about that at all. I'm more worried about the teams who are coming here. They will feel even hotter and even sweatier than we do. And I think we make it as difficult as possible. Whenever you come to St. Louis, it won't be an easy game.
We have a question here from @SmittyCoach11. Thinking of team mottos, do you have a motto that you believe best defines the identity of St. Louis City SC right now and long term in the future?
Well, I think we have lots of little mottos how we want to play football. I mentioned a few, but I think one of the things you always can say, you play the way you train, and we train really hard, so we will play very hard. But if you want to, if you have a few other ideas, don't mind, don't be shy, send me a few of them. Maybe we can build them into our philosophy as well.
Question here from @Alden Eaton. You've been a part of so many matches over your career. Where does this one rank for you personally in terms of significance and anticipation?
Well, it's also for me a first time. I mean, I played, I think, probably 500-600 games all my life professionally. But it's the first time ever that I'm also involved in a club which plays the first ever game competitive. So I think it's definitely something really special. But I do think more about the boys who really worked hard to get into our setup, to get into this academy team. I think that's their moment, you know. It's not my moment. It's the moment of the boys who will be on the field, and I'm excited for them. I mean, they do literally write soccer history of the city. It's the first ever team which will wear the crest on their chest, and I'm pretty sure they will be very proud. I want them to be proud, but I also want them to go out there and really enjoy themselves. After all, you know, they worked hard. It's a game. It's up for grab, and we're all happy to go up there and really enjoy the moment.
Liz, we've got one final question from @Venkata Ramsa 3. It's in German. Welche deutsche Stadt in deiner Meinung ist ähnlich wie St. Louis?
Good accent, by the way, but I don't speak that much German anymore. I still understand. I don't think you can really compare anything to St. Louis really in Germany, but the way people love soccer, I think that is something you really can compare. People just really into this game, they can't wait, so that really reminds me of back home in Germany. And it's definitely not as hot as it gets here in the summer. So yeah, I think the soccer enthusiasts are just the same as in Germany as they are in St. Louis.
I think that concludes our first ever City Fan Presser. Thank you, Lutz, for your time today. Looking forward to doing these in the future.
Thanks a lot, and please support us online or however for our first game.